Mr. Wolfgang, this is the first time you've been in my office for therapy. Now, what seems to be the problem?
Oh, Doc, I just got so many problems, and the least of which is every time there's a full moon, I become this hairy, sex-crazed beast, and I can't do anything about it.
Well, you and 30 million other guys, what are you complaining about?
Yeah, but with me, it's just so intense, it's so acute, and I'm not just talking about my appearance, you know what I mean?
Well, but is that it? I mean, come on, everybody goes through anxiety
I
and
know,
so
Doc,
forth.
but I got a real special problem here that I kind of got to get this off my chest.
Well, what is it?
All right.
What is it, boy?
I really just want to be free. I want to be free of it all, Doc. And to do that, I have to be 50 shades free! 50 shades free! Here we are, everybody, episode 70 of Film Banter.
Ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages, this is
A uniting of the minds once again, my dear cohort and comrade, Mr. Christopher Picard. I am, of course, Daryl Smith, and we are here tonight on episode 70. Official handshake, sir.
We've made it to 70,
There we go. We
sir.
made it to 70. We're here.
It's a wonderful pleasure.
It's a wonderful pleasure.
And
It
an
is
honor.
indeed, and an honor indeed for me as well.
It is a
And
duty at this point.
It is a duty, but it's a duty that, we have to clean up in aisle 3. We clean up that duty, and
Yeah,
we
we
come
do.
back and we do it again next week for you, because that's the kind of guys we are, goddammit.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we do. We're here to rate and to do another 8 films for you all.
Exactly.
And that's all we can do. That's what we are. We do want to give you a quick forewarning of things to come. Our setting may change in the future.
Some big news for Film Banter,
Big
actually.
news for Film Banter. We may be broadcasting on a separate network. We're not quite sure yet.
Details to come. You will be
Details to
made
come.
aware, those of
will
you
be
watching
made
us
aware.
live.
You who care.
Stay
You who-
tuned.
You who don't ignore this little virtual
Yes.
reality we have created, or virtual non-reality.
But definitely stay tuned for announcements. And as
Yeah,
usual, guys,
we do have
check
some big
us
news.
out on YouTube, those of you on the live stream.
Facebook and
There's a Film Banter YouTube page for those of you that don't know.
Why did they go there?
And watch the Facebook page for updates.
We're going to start the show. Chris is
I'm
going
going to
to
go
be
right in.
reviewing the new Clint Eastwood film.
So this is a new dramatic retelling of a true event by Mr. Clint Eastwood.
It is.
I believe this is now his 3rd or 4th in a row, because he did American Sniper. He did before that, Jersey Boys, another true story.
Oh, true.
And then right before this, he just did, he did Sully with Tom Hanks.
Oh, true.
So he's doing a lot of true stories lately.
He is doing true stories.
He's an interesting filmmaker, and for me, I feel like there's always an element of extra care and quality to his films. I don't always think they're all amazing movies. They're not all great, but there's a care that he takes in his films
I
that is
agree.
very evident. And so for that, I respect the man and I enjoy his work. I've seen
Yeah.
probably all of his films in the theater that I can recall as a filmmaker since I've, obviously my age range that I've
Certainly.
been able to go see. I make an effort to see his films, usually with my father, who's a huge Clint Eastwood fan.
Exactly.
And again, him and I together, we went yesterday and we saw this film. So the gist of this film, it's a true story from a few years back of 3 American men.
It's not that long ago.
It was within the past 4
Year
years.
and a half.
A little more than that, I think.
not
Maybe
really.
2 years.
Within 2 years.
Yeah, I meant to go look to see exactly when it happened, and I forgot.
2016 now. Yeah.
Was it that
Yeah,
recent?
it happened
Well,
in
this
the
is a
summertime.
fast retelling then. Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
So
I was shocked.
3 American tourists were traveling through Europe. 2 of them were military, United States military men, active duty. One of them was just their friend who was not in the service.
Right.
And so these 3 guys were in their 20s. They've been friends since they were kids. And so they've always kind of kept in touch.
When suddenly
They're on a train to Paris, the 1517, when a deranged terrorist jumps on board with a suitcase full of ammunition and machine guns. He had about 300 rounds of ammunition.
He's gonna wipe out everybody.
Yeah, several machine guns, handguns. This guy was fully loaded and had the intention of pretty much taking out a good amount of people on this train. Exactly. So luckily for everybody on board, these servicemen happened to be there, and they were able to apprehend and stop him. And only one person was seriously injured. I don't think anybody died.
I think the guy he was injured, was he not?
Well, the main guy that took him down, he had several stab wounds.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he did not die though. Nobody.
Yeah, but these
died.
Guys bravely rushed
They did.
this terrorist who was fully
who had
armed,
a machine gun. Yeah,
was going to take the whole train out.
It was amazing.
In his way, and
a big act of bravery, and so it's tremendous. And we see them getting honors in Paris afterwards, and we see.
But what did
parade.
Clint do in the casting of this film?
Well, here is the gist that is so unique that I was about to get to.
Yeah.
So he decided, I am not going to use actors. I'm going to use the real guys.
I know.
To play themselves.
True.
That was a huge, bold risk that could have totally been a disaster.
Backfired.
And I will be honest with you, I think it worked out okay.
It's all in the editing.
Yeah, well, yeah, I would highly agree with that.
Man's got to know his limitations.
I'll say this. For a bunch of guys who have never acted before, they did a capable job. Now, it's not the world's greatest acting.
Okay.
There are some moments where I was a little squirmy, but I also would relay a little bit of that to some of the writing. I thought some of the writing and some of the scenes were a little too on the nose.
Oh, really?
So one guy's like, oh, man, I feel like we should go do this. But maybe it's late. We should go to bed. Yeah, man, I'm really tired. I think I'm going to go to bed. Like, a little too spot on dialogue.
Okay.
But it's a silly little critique. Overall, I enjoyed this movie.
Okay.
I was actually impressed by how well the guys were able to play these, become characters, even though they were themselves.
I have
they
to
still
say,
had
though,
to act.
they really didn't have to act, though. All they had to do was be themselves.
They did, but they had to reenact certain scenes.
Well, I understand
I would
that.
argue that the best moments for them is when they reenact the actual bravery on the train.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of moments leading up to that, where they're on
Right.
vacation, they're just having a regular conversation.
Clint gives us the backgrounds of all the
Yeah,
guys.
and then,
he hits the gist
so
of
that
the main...
that was probably some of the more challenging scenes when they're just acting at a dinner table eating a meal, you know?
Yeah, I guess.
The
and
Wayne
then,
guy,
once again, that should be easy as pie for
it
them.
should be, but
Yeah.
for guys
No
that have
pun
never done it
intended.
before, I would
With
imagine
pie.
this was the challenge for some of them.
I guess it was.
But there
Well,
were
lights, cameras, there's a lot of intimidating factors.
There were some scenes that I thought, though, were a little too long. So for the first, I'm going to say 20 minutes, 25 minutes, we see a lot of them as kids, like 10, 12 years old.
Oh, jeez.
And there's a little too much of that, and I was
Okay.
a little bit getting antsy.
Yeah.
But what the movie does to keep you interested is every so often they will cut to moments on the train leading up to
Right.
the finale.
It's the usual,
You'll get a tease. A couple of tease glimpses.
Naturally.
Yeah.
Clint wants to keep you,
He does.
Hey, you don't want to see this nonsense.
Exactly.
So let me cut in stuff of the cool stuff.
But
that only took about a minute and a half in real life.
Exactly,
So he
yeah.
had to make a 2 hour.
They had to
or hour
drag
and a
it
half
out.
film of
99
this.
minutes, actually.
Was it 99?
But
Okay, so-
it was effective. The end was really riveting. I really enjoyed
Oh,
that.
good, okay.
I liked, as usual, seeing the epilogue with the real people
Oh, okay.
getting the awards. And
They are the real people.
Yeah, but I mean, no, they showed then president, the France president at the time, Hollande.
Right.
He was giving a speech.
Okay.
We see the real parents, because in the film, two of the boys' mothers are prominently played by Judy Greer and Jenna Fisher.
Oh, interesting.
So they did a good job
right,
with the boys.
Right. Yeah.
So, anyway, overall, I thought it was a risk that paid off. It's got a little slow paced at times.
Okay.
But a lot of Clint's movies have that, so I kind of forgive it.
Gotcha.
And I give it, it's a 3-star film. I would recommend it.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
entertaining.
Yeah.
And I liked seeing the true story. And the one thing that was the most interesting was the main guy. There was the main guy that rushed him.
Mm-hmm.
His name is Spencer.
Is he the blonde guy?
He's the blonde guy,
Yeah.
yeah. He had a lot of trouble when he was in the service in terms of kind of getting things right. He was a guy that was determined to make it in the service, and he had a dream of really being this paratrooper rescue guy.
Okay.
But he kept kind of really struggling. He got to be demoted, go do this, go
Relentless.
do that. Yeah, but he really felt like he had a purpose, and so he had a drive.
Yeah.
And so it was very interesting to me to see his story specifically.
Okay.
So overall, I enjoyed the film. I
All
recommend
right.
it.
Very
Yeah.
good. Very good.
I liked
Very
it.
good. I get that gist. Okay. You know, I got to be honest. I really don't have any
Yeah.
real desire.
You can
to
wait
see
till
it.
video. I'll be honest.
You
You can wait till
know,
video.
I mean, all we're really seeing is the actual terrorist confrontation, which we only heard about on the news. But you know, I don't know. There's certain times there where you know some. Like the Sully thing that he did with the landing of the U.S. air flight in the middle of the Hudson
Extend
River.
that one event for like 2 hours.
Well,
Yeah.
true, but that was
I
okay
like that
because we
film.
had the little bit of the historical, you know, uptaking, and I liked the ending of that film where we appear in the courtroom.
Oh, we see the whole
where
angle of it. Yeah, that we didn't know
They're
about.
trying to persecute
Yeah.
Sully
Blame the
for destroying their U.S. airliner. And
I
how
agree.
could you do this? How could you do this? So that was wonderful right there. But it would have been dynamite. And let's move on to our next one. But it would have been dynamite if Sully, who's now doing commercials all over
He's
the
all
place.
over the place.
You
A
know,
commentator.
he's everywhere.
Anytime there's a plane crash or something, he's a commentator on the news.
And he should have played himself in that movie.
That
That
would've
would have
been
been
cool.
dynamite.
Yeah.
You know.
But you know what's funny about
Clint
Sully?
should have had him land the plane right in the
Yeah.
middle of the Hudson River again.
Sully had the most abrupt ending ever. Do you remember that ending?
I remember he's
It ends
running
on-
down the street.
No, it ends on they're at the court proceedings.
Yeah.
And they cut to him and Aaron Eckhart. They're like telling a joke, and then it cuts at everybody just laughing, and the movie ends.
No.
It is so bizarre, weird
Well,
ending.
you know, there you
but
go.
whatever,
Maybe Clint fell asleep in the editing room.
could be.
You know, you never know. He's getting up there.
Yeah, he's 80s.
I just saw him and the three
I
guys.
hate to lose him.
I don't want to lose him either. It breaks
It's a
my
better
heart.
world with Clint
Yeah,
Eastwood.
I agree.
It's a shame.
You know, but I heard one of his friends, his dear friends, died recently, and he
Oh.
had to go to the funeral home.
Oh.
And the coroner, the guy, not the
Yeah.
coroner, but the funeral home manager, walked up to Clint and he said, "Hardly worth going home, is it?" And Clint said, "No, I will go home." No, that's actually a joke. But,
Yes, I knew there was a joke coming.
There was a joke there. So, but there you go, folks. All right, we're gonna move
Move
right
on.
on because we're already 11 minutes into our show, but that's okay. Our next film that I'm going to review for you now is called Only the Brave.
Mm-hmm.
And this is about the 19 firefighters in Prescott.
Yes.
It looks like Prescott, but it's pronounced Prescott. Now, I have a backstory.
True story again.
True story, once again. These were firefighters who had just been upgraded. This is a movie starring Josh Brolin.
Yes.
I like Josh very much. He's a
He's a
man's
great actor.
man,
He
damn
is.
it. He's a man's man.
He's a good actor.
You know, he's got hair on his teeth, and he's a man's man, and you don't mess with Josh.
He's
'cause
good.
He's going to beat the hell out of him. He's going to beat his woman, too, and she's going to take it and like it. But, no, I shouldn't
hope
even
not.
say that these days. That's not nice. The
No.
Me Too
We don't
people,
condone that.
They're throwing darts into my neck as I speak. But this is a tragedy of a greatness because there are 19 men. 19 of these guys, and this is just an average day.
Yeah.
We do have the lovely Jennifer Connelly playing his wife.
Yes.
Playing Josh Brolin's wife. He's the head of this troop of
Yeah.
they're
Elite
called-
firefighters.
The elite firefighters. They're called the Hot Shots.
Yes.
It's kind of a mode of, it's like the Eagle Scouts. It's like when you get to the top gist of your profession in the firefighting trade, you become the Hot Shots.
Correct.
So these men become trapped. This is all in the news. They become trapped, and the fire engulfs them, and they have to fight their way out of this. And it is a horrific film. A horrific tragedy, that is. Now, a very dear friend of mine by the name of Neil Nadell, who lived in Phoenix, not in Phoenix, forgive me, he lived in Arizona, but he lived
Prescott.
in Prescott.
I've been there
Have you?
3 times.
No kidding.
My childhood good friend, who I still have lost touch with, but that doesn't matter, moved there.
Might matter to him.
No, what I mean is for the show, nobody cares. But I've been trying to find him for years. Anyway, we lost touch, but his family moved to Prescott, Arizona, and I went to visit him 3 summers in a row when I was in middle school.
Okay, that's enough now.
Well, that's why I said nobody cares.
Nobody does care. It's
Nobody
true.
cares about your friend Neil.
But no, they do care.
They should.
Because Neil was there
When it
and
happened?
He was there when it happened.
Wow.
And his hotel that he lived at, he saw the promenade of hearses.
Wow.
They had 19 white hearses. I don't know why they didn't show that in the film. It would have been a breathtaking
shot,
little bit of the real reality of the horror of that situation. These men were trapped amid a circular flame that
Yeah.
was engulfing them. They had nowhere to go. All they had were these like vinyl plastic tents, these
Yeah.
body tents that they put themselves in. And it leads up to it. It's a very well made film. It kind of goes into that. We've seen a lot of those slow pace. That great film that we both loved about with Jeff Bridges and
Oh, you're talking, yeah, the Western with Chris Pine.
yes.
Yes, that's a great film.
What is the name of that film?
Hell or High Water.
There you go.
Yeah.
It had that kind of a
Yeah.
plotting
Slow
feel.
burn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
do
Pardon the
I
pun.
really care about this movie? But the characters are interesting enough to
Yeah.
make me want to continue watching it. So you continue watching it, and the next thing you know, the movie's over, and you're sitting
Yeah.
there with tears running down your face.
Wow.
It's a very powerful
All right.
piece of cinema, and I enjoyed all the performances. And Miles Teller is in this
Who's
film.
again in everything these
Who
days.
thinks he's Marlon Brando, but he's not. Let me inform Miles right here, live in person. You're not Marlon Brando, so quit trying to be this brooding, moody, James Deanish, Brando-esque humanoid, because it ain't working, I don't think. I don't think you were great in this movie by any means, but he's still a good actor. I'm glad he's getting work, because he's adequate.
He's capable. I like him.
Is he great? No. But he's adequate.
He could become great with age. You never know.
Possibly. He was great in Backlash.
Whiplash.
Whiplash.
Great film.
I thought he was great in
Yeah.
that. I really did. But that was J.K. Simmons' film, so
And he was pushed to the limit in that film
He
too
was,
by J.K.
too.
And that brings out
I know.
such a strong
that was.
performance.
If you haven't seen Whiplash, check it out. It's not Whiplash.
Whiplash, the movie where he's a drummer.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I
J.K.
thought Whiplash
no,
was
that's
the movie
Whiplash.
with Drew Barrymore, where they're spinning their roller derby girls.
Yeah, that's called something else.
Whip something. It's called Whip It, or
Whip It. I think it's called Whip It.
might be called Whip It.
Is it?
Yeah,
Yeah, no, but this is called. Now you're making me second guess my brain. Yeah,
Snap that whip.
it's got to be Whiplash with him, J.K.
Go ahead and whip it. But anyway,
Let's make sure.
I did like this movie very much. It's very moving.
Whiplash, yes.
All right, cool.
Yes, but I think you're thinking of Whip It.
I'm
With Ellen
thinking,
Page.
yeah.
Yes, Whip It. Whip It. Ellen Page, Drew
Yeah,
Barrymore.
there you go.
Correct.
All right.
But yeah, Only the Brave. You can watch it on Amazon.
You can watch
it's fresh.
it on Amazon. You can watch it on Blu-ray. It's
Yeah.
out there in the world to be watched. It's a moving little piece of work. I highly
Cool.
recommend. We're going to move on now to The Post.
Yeah, we're gonna touch on the post. You reviewed it. You got to see it.
I did
recently.
review it approximately a month ago.
Yeah,
but,
I finally got a chance to go see it.
Finally saw it.
I did. Finally, I'm very happy to say I watched it. I'm happy to
Those
say
of you who have heard this review, you may go get something to drink now.
you may. But yeah, the post. Again, I was interested. I love movies about Washington politics. I love movies about journalists. So
Talk about a
This,
slow plotting film.
it's slow. The whole movie basically is about Meryl Streep's character's decision whether or not to run a story or not.
Right.
And the story
that
is
could definitely be detrimental.
detrimental
to her whole newspaper
because she owns the
could
Washington
shut
Post.
down the paper.
This
She
is
does.
in the 70s.
Right.
She was Katharine Graham, the owner of the Washington Post, and they were going to be publishing elements of the Pentagon Papers, which were leaked Pentagon documents detailing over 30 years of government secrets about the war in Vietnam.
Yeah.
And it was controversial because basically the gist of it was that the papers are telling us that the government was basically lying about Vietnam for many years, knew that it was never going to be a success,
Yeah.
but they stayed in it just so they wouldn't lose face in front of the public eye
Correct.
and be humiliated.
And it's a great double feature with the Mark Felt movie that just came out.
With Liam Neeson,
with
which
Liam
we've
Neeson
touched
about
on.
the Watergate
I agree.
scandal.
Yeah, it's great.
Fantastic double feature.
Yeah.
And that was a far better film, in my humble opinion. It moved
That was
along
a great
much
movie.
nicer.
I liked it a lot.
I have to say something about Spielberg right off the top of my head, and that is, what did we all want in Lincoln? We wanted to see Abe
know.
get shot because
didn't
I
get
wanted
it.
to see Steven Spielberg's take
Yeah.
on the Lincoln assassination.
And this thing, same
the
thing
film
here.
ends, same thing. I wanted to see the actual break.
We get an introduction to
We get an
Watergate and then
intro
credits.
to the great moment.
Yeah.
Bingo,
Yeah.
film's over after 2 hours
I know.
of plotting Meryl Streep, Tom Hanks.
Back and
now,
forth.
great performances all around,
Yeah,
though.
I mean the film is
David Cross,
exceptionally active.
David Cross, he's had the long hair. You probably didn't even
Yeah, I'll be
recognize
honest with you, I didn't
Yeah.
even recognize him.
He's-
Yeah,
David
yeah,
Cross
he was very good.
He's kind of a comedian. He
Yeah,
used to be
yeah.
on Arrested Development. Very funny guy, but
The
he
film
was
is
terrific.
very well acted. Everybody I thought was very good.
It was a tight
It was
film.
a beautiful looking
Ah.
film shot by Janusz Kaminski as usual.
guess.
It had a good look. It's very Spielbergian, you know?
It is.
And it's a capable film. I enjoyed it. It's not the best picture of the year. It's
No.
nominated, but it's not best
Right,
picture.
and Meryl is not nominated.
No, she is.
Oh, is she?
Tom Hanks
Tom
is not.
didn't get
yeah.
nominated. Yeah.
And Meryl was good. She did a great job.
She was excellent.
Yeah,
I thought Tom was excellent.
Yeah,
too.
he was good. I thought everybody was good in
I
telling
liked
this
it.
story. There was a huge, vast amount of supporting actors in this film that were excellent.
True.
I don't need to name them all, but they were all
All
great.
the underbelly characters
Yeah, all
running
these
to this
people-
paper.
yeah,
They
yeah,
sent
it
him
was
to New
great.
York.
That-
He had to do stuff to, he had to just kind
The
of
other reporters and
work his way into getting
the
information.
newsroom that they were in at the
Yeah.
Washington Post, it looked identical to the one on All the President's Men. It might as
Really?
well be the
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
it looked just like it.
It's probably the same one.
They're probably the same
Yeah, right.
blueprints.
You know.
I enjoyed the Post.
Okay.
It was a little slow going at
Yeah.
first.
I don't know if I can recommend it to the average moviegoer.
Um,
I don't recommend it.
I would say to people that are already aware of this, you might find it more interesting than somebody who's like 20 years old, didn't really know much about it.
Well, true.
This might not be your best entrance into the whole story of the
Yeah.
Pentagon Papers, but it's an important film. It's an important
No,
story.
it is.
I think
suppose.
maybe if you learn about it in school, then go see the film. But you can wait till video. You don't have to rush out to see this film in the theater. I liked it. It was a 3-star film.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I was entertained. I was really captivated towards the end when things really started amping up.
Yeah, true.
All the politics within the paper,
Politics.
the board, and all this stuff
It's all
was
about
interesting.
politics. Yeah.
I liked the guy they have playing Nixon from through the window.
Oh, he looked great.
Oh, I don't want them at all to be. Yeah, it was great.
And they won't see
Nothing. Yeah.
Pat either.
Yeah.
No, and Pat won't see them in
Nobody's
the
allowed
garden.
in the White House.
No. No, he
That
was
was good.
good.
He was good.
And he looked just like Nixon too.
Yeah.
They just had
It's a
back
wide
shots,
shot,
little
obviously,
profile of
but
him,
it was good.
talking on the phone
Yeah.
to somebody late at night. Oh, that was
It
kind
was
of
cool.
The loneliness, the desolation.
They did a great
of
job.
being imprisoned in a White House
Exactly.
under assault.
Yes.
Which is exactly where Mr. Trump
Yeah,
is. these
history
days, isn't
repeats
it?
itself very
Yeah,
easily.
Precisely so.
But
He's trapped.
But yeah, the Post. It's entertaining. I
It is
enjoyed
what
it.
it is.
I didn't love it, but I
Nah.
liked it enough to say check it out on video.
There you go.
It's a 3-star film.
No, it is a 3-star
Yeah.
film. I mean, just for the acting alone.
Yeah, acting. You got to. You know what? Just as we every year we get to see all the best performances. You got to see this movie just to see the performances.
True.
And then you move on.
The Phantom Thread. Basically the same basic aspect.
Yeah.
Not a really terrific story to behold. It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's a little
Phenomenally
bit,
acted.
It's
though.
phenomenally acted. I mean, you've got Daniel Day and maybe his last performance.
That's what
I
they're
doubt
saying.
that.
I think it maybe
I
20
think
years
in-
will come back. Maybe
in-
earlier.
No, in more like 3 years. Someone's going to hit him with a great script.
I think so, too.
And he's going to say, "Well, okay,
I'll do
one more. My right foot. We're
Yeah.
going to do my right foot now."
Yeah.
So you never know, but okay. We are now going to move on. I'm going to do a film that is right off Netflix. It's hot off the presses, ladies and
Yes.
gentlemen. It's another one of those Groundhog Day kind
Type
of films.
movies.
Those repetitive storylines. Yesterday I was reading somewhere on the internet, and they had 9 films that all have that Groundhog
Yeah.
Day thing. The one is with Jake Gyllenhaal on the train.
Yeah, that was a Duncan Jones film.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
The name of the film was.
That was
Begins with an E.
yeah, no it doesn't. It's
I remember asking you to get me that movie because you said I saw it at Blockbuster for $3.99.
Oh,
I said,
yeah.
"Did you get it for me?" And you said, "Okay."
and I didn't.
But anyway, no, I
feel
think
like
you did.
I did get it for
Yeah,
you.
you did.
Okay, I did. Yeah.
you did.
Yeah, it'll come. It was with Vera Farmiga as well, correct?
Correct. And he's trapped on a train.
Yeah, over, and he's got to stop a
Michelle
bomber.
Michelle
Yeah, that
Monaghan
was
is
good.
on there. Yeah, and the train keeps blowing up. We also have that movie
Wait,
with.
Vera Farmiga wasn't in that. I'm thinking of
No, she
Commuter.
wasn't.
What am I
I don't
saying?
know what the hell
It's
you're
Michelle
talking about.
Monaghan.
I just agree with you sometimes. You're so ludicrous. You're so crazy.
Yeah.
You're so off the wall. I just agree with what you say because I don't want to interrupt.
It'll come to me in a second what that movie's
But
called.
no, Michelle Monaghan.
She was the woman.
She
Yes.
was the woman.
She was the
his
girl.
wife.
Yes,
yeah, she
correct.
was his wife, and he kept dying.
She's lovely. Yeah.
Then we had the movie with Tom Cruise where he's
Edge of
something Edge of
Edge of
whatever,
Tomorrow.
Rinse and Repeat. It,
Yeah.
I think was the
Live Die
tagline.
Repeat was what they
Yeah, Live,
rebranded
Die,
it on
Repeat.
video.
I love that movie.
I love that film too.
Emily Blunt.
They're making a sequel.
Are they?
I heard they are.
I love the ending where he goes
Yeah.
into that giant globe.
It's a great film.
Oh, it was so cool.
Underrated little gem.
It really was a little
like that
gem,
film
and
a
yet I
lot.
showed it to many people.
Bill Paxton too.
Not a lot of people, but I showed it to some
Yeah.
people. Yeah, Bill Paxton. He was a tough. He was the head
Yeah.
guy in the
Source
boot camp.
Code.
Yeah,
Source Code was the
Very
Jake
good.
Gyllenhaal
There you go.
movie,
No
yeah.
E in that one.
Yes.
But anyway, when we first met is basically about a guy
Mm-hmm.
played by what is his name? You told me earlier.
Yeah, Adam
today.
Devine.
Adam Devine.
Devine.
A very funny man.
A lot
There
of
was
commercials.
There was a movie, a lot of commercials. He's a very funny guy. He almost looks semi-Mongoloidian, if I may be.
He's like Sean William Scott in American Pie, like Stifler.
a little bit.
A little bit.
There is something about him, but I think he's hilarious. He was
he is
terrific in a little movie called Mike and Dave Need Wedding
Wedding
Dates
Dates.
with Zac Efron.
Yes.
He was very, very funny in that. I like this guy. I think he's good. I truly do.
No, he's good.
So anyway, he is a guy, and he falls in love, as who wouldn't,
Yes.
fall in love with the beautiful Alexandria Daddario,
Yes.
who is a very beautiful young woman who is now, she doesn't do a lot of films, but once a year she cranks one out. She's done 2 films now with The Rock.
Baywatch and San Andreas.
And San Andreas, correct. And then she has her notable her notable Pulitzer Prize, if you will, for being the #1 clip on Mr. Skin.
Oh, for True Detective.
For True Detective,
Yeah.
as she is sitting on Woody Harrelson's
She played Woody
lap.
Harrelson's lover.
She played his girlfriend, kind of his booty call
Yes.
girlfriend. So, and she is just a lovely, lovely woman. I
That
cannot
would, that mean that
say that
that show
enough.
boosted her career.
It really did, and but she was also on Parenthood or something. She was
One
on
of those
that show.
shows.
Yes, I was told this today by a friend of mine. So, but this is true. This film is basically about him. He meets her, and he goes to a old time photo booth, very similar to the Tom Hanks in Big. Remember he has
Oh,
to
when he
go
goes to the Zoltar machine.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So this is like a Zoltar, but it's a photo booth machine. It's
Interesting.
an old time. You put a quarter in,
Yeah.
and it's got very antique-y looking thing. He sits there, and as soon as he puts the quarter in, it blinks, and he goes right back 3 years earlier to the day he meets Alexandra Daddario and falls in love with her. So the film is interesting in a sense because we play various scenarios
Yeah.
to catch Daddario.
I got it.
And we go through this about, I'm going to say about 6 or 7 times or so. Each time he does something just a little bit different. But then after that particular night, he wakes up. So he only gets one night to meet her
Yes.
or to make his life go the way he wants.
I
Then
see.
he wakes up back 3 years later in the present again. So now sometimes you see him, he's got speckles in his hair, and he's like, he says, "Boy, I really am an asshole here," or whatever. It's kind of amusing. I didn't love this movie. It's really a 2.5-star film.
Yeah.
There's no great acting here. The lure for me was Miss Daddario.
course.
She's a lovely lady. There's no question. But I like Adam Devine. I think he's a good little actor, and I enjoyed it for what it was. I would never go see this film in a theater. It is on Netflix, so check it out if you like. But it's a mental, it's a mind. It's just a bubble gum for the brain.
It reminds me, these kind of movies where you're seeing somebody's life in different ways, or they have to go change things. There's a movie that I remember I've always liked, and it reminds me of this a little bit, and it's from the 90s with Gwyneth Paltrow called Sliding Doors.
Oh, I remember that film.
I only saw the film once, but I remember loving it.
Yeah.
And it's always had a fond memory in my brain.
Okay.
And it's just
It was
about
a mystery.
Kind of. What it was a woman who the movie tells 2 parallel stories. Her life, if she made it onto a subway train, hence the sliding doors.
Okay.
Or if she did not make it on the train. And it's 2 parallel stories, and you see which one ends up in a good way.
Is Anthony Hopkins in this film?
He's not, no.
Okay.
No, but the other actor in that was John Hannah, who was in the Mummy films. He was in
okay.
that.
All right.
But this movie kind of reminded me of that. But I love these kind of movies.
Do you?
Yeah, I mean, I love the one from last year. One of my favorite movies of the year was Before I Fall. I like that one a lot.
Exactly. That was
That
included
was
in the
good.
list.
Yeah, that was good.
There was about another 5 films.
It's
or
an
so.
interesting
It's
way
an
to-
interesting concept.
But Groundhog
and,
Day has done it best more than all of them.
Very
I think.
true.
Yeah.
Well, Groundhog Day is
Groundbreaking.
supposedly the #1 comedy of all
Yeah,
time.
it's a great
as
film.
far as video sales
It's become
go.
a huge cult
It
following.
really has become a
Yeah.
great, and it's a great little film.
It
And
is.
Bill is just phenomenal.
And the
on
first
that.
time I saw that film, I borrowed it from somebody on VHS in the 90s. And I watched it, and I liked it so much, I just rewound it and I watched it again. Like it went twice in a
I've
cinema.
only seen that film once.
It's great.
I've only
You
seen
do
it
to
once,
watch it again.
and I saw it in the theater. And the reason why I only needed to see it once because we repeat the same
Yeah.
day 20 times in
Yeah.
the film. I felt like I saw it 20 times the first time I saw it. Do I need to see it again? I think
Watch
not.
it for a very young Michael
I probably
Shannon.
should though. Well, there you go.
He's in
Yeah, I heard Michael's in
Yeah.
that film. too.
Anyway, we're going to move on.
We are going to move on. We're now
I'm
going
going to touch on
to,
briefly Roman J. Israel Esquire. Again,
Mr. Denzel Washington.
another film I finally got to see. And now with this and The Post, I have seen all the big nominated films and performances. So
Okay.
that makes me happy.
Very good.
I
did review this film
You
a couple
did?
weeks ago,
Yeah, and
and I liked it.
Yeah, I'm going to talk. Basically,
I
my
liked
review
it
is very similar
very
to
much.
yours.
Yeah, I thought
I liked
Denzel
it.
was excellent.
He was great.
Yep.
He plays a real character here.
True.
He really makes himself look like this frumpy, tormented, kind of a misunderstood genius in a way.
He's almost a geek. He's an
He's
idiot
geeky.
savant. Yeah, he's,
definitely on the spectrum somewhere.
He's in that Rain Man
Uncomfortable
kind of category.
Yeah,
you know.
But he's brilliant in certain
He
ways,
is, yeah.
and it's a really interesting performance. It's a good film. I agree with you when you had said the last act takes a bizarre kind of a weird turn.
It does take a weird turn.
I didn't think that was a necessary thing.
I
that
totally
to me
agree.
just felt like a screenwriting contrivance.
Absolutely. It
I
was
don't
just
need
to
that.
manipulate us, and
Yeah,
I thought
we
it
don't need
ruined.
that.
It ruined
It
the
didn't
character.
need. It didn't need that. The
It
movie was
ruined-
going well.
I agree. It ruined the whole character
Yeah, you
essence
don't need
of
that.
who he was
I know.
and what he was, and it took his values
I
and
know.
changed them.
It's a shame.
And he was
I
a guy
know.
that had such
I know.
solid values
Yeah.
throughout the film.
I
Now
agree.
suddenly he doesn't have values anymore.
It's-
Oh, I didn't like that
It
at
didn't
all.
feel true
Yeah.
to the character to me.
Absolutely.
That was a disappointment. But I agree, Colin Farrell was excellent.
He was.
And I like how his character, you never really know which way to go with him. You don't really, one moment you're thinking he's one way, and then you see something else, and then you see at the end, okay, he's this way. I just thought it was
You
a
mean
really...
Colin Farrell?
Yeah, I thought his character, you at first you didn't know what to think of him. And then you get to know him.
he's
and then
he's
you
a
think-
corporate guy.
Yeah.
Through and through.
But at first, you don't know if you're going to end up liking him or not.
Yeah.
So I liked it that they really flesh him out a lot. He's a guy. I thought he has a very dominant role in this film, and I liked him a lot in this
I did
movie.
too.
I loved, and I forget her name, but the woman that played the head of
She was awesome.
She was the head
She
of the
was awesome.
support group he goes
The
to.
black lady.
Yeah, she was
wonderful.
very good. Yeah,
Wonderful.
she was very
and
good.
there's a little mini love affair that kind of goes on
Kind of,
there.
almost, yeah.
And then the movie just changes course for the
It's a
worse.
shame.
It's a shame.
We
It
didn't
should
need
not
that.
have happened. We did not need it.
But it's an excellent performance in a decent film.
It's a
that
3-star movie.
Could have been a great
it
film.
could have been a great film. I
Yeah.
totally agree. And I am so sorry they,
I don't know why they had to do that.
I don't know why they did it either. But
They always feel like they
did.
got to give you that third act thing, and I don't know.
I guess.
They
Well,
could have come up with a different dramatic thing to
They
drive
could
the
have
movie.
made him a hero.
Yeah.
He needed to be the
well,
hero.
they made him a hero in a way.
Well, but through the eyes of
I
Colin
understand.
Farrell,
Yeah, I
but
know.
He could have gone into the heights of
I
really
know.
like a Miss Sloane.
I know what
where
you're
she
saying.
just totally turns the tables on
And
everybody.
that movie has an incredible ending. you know?
Exactly. Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
It's
we
just-
have this
it's a shame.
straight line story
Yeah.
that turns us around, but it's to the benefit of the character
Yeah.
and the plot that we've been watching for the last 2 hours.
And
this film, it left us hanging,
Yeah.
disappointed.
And the ending was not.
the
I didn't feel it
ending,
was true.
I
no.
felt it was off the no good.
It wasn't true to the character. That was a disappointment. All right, we're gonna move on.
We're gonna move right on now, and it looks like I might be doing.
You're doing a little horror film
piece
here?
Of crapola there. Yeah, it's a little hunk of junk. So I guess we're going to do something else at a later time. But I will mention both of these films. No, as a matter of fact, I'm not. I'm going to mention this is a particular film called Victor Crowley. It's a throwaway horror film. It's exactly about 85 minutes long. It's just about this crazy beast out in the forest and taking out as many people as he can. We now switch forward to the future where a young man he battled this creature 20 years or 10 years earlier. He survived. His name is James Hung or Wang Hung Lo or something like that. And he's doing book signings for writing a book exploiting this whole horror creature. They get on a plane. They crash in the swamp area. They want to go back to the scene and be interviewed by other, news people. It's so ridiculous and so stupid, but we do have a wonderful death. Horror films are basically about the death and the gag, as George Romero used to refer to it as. It's about the gags. The gags are the moments of death, or of course, Final Destination.
Exactly.
Famous for
Quintessential death, yes,
the
some great
quintessential
ones.
and some really wonderful.
Yeah.
And the great thing about those Final Destination films, if you've never checked them out, they are really well acted.
No,
They're
they're
little
good.
mini soap operas, and we have great characters, great character development. You get to like these people, you get to care for them, and then suddenly, a guy is, throwing something out his window, and he gets his foot caught in the drain, the munching drain thing that people have. What's that thing called? The drain.
You talking about the garbage disposal?
Yeah, the garbage disposal within the sink. Yeah, and he suddenly gets his whole hand stuck, and suddenly he's grinded into bits.
So inventive, those deaths.
This is not a film for the squeamish. This is not a film for. You've got to be a lover of of real brutal, gruesome horror, but with tongue in cheek.
Got it.
There's no real brutal dramaticism about the deaths and so forth. We just move on to the next death. The people in these films accept all the deaths very methodically and wonderfully so. This movie I cannot even recommend. So let's just move past.
So
that.
no to Victor Crowley.
I like the creature. The creature looks really cool. He looks like a gargoyle that flew off the Notre Dame Cathedral. And he's out there, and he's kind of smart. He climbs on top of the plane. He's reaching in, grabbing people, pulling their heads off through the windows of the plane. It's kind of.
If you choose to watch it, it's on Amazon.
I will say this. I'm going to give away the ending to this film because it just
I'm
doesn't
never
even
gonna see it.
matter.
All right.
Nobody gives a rat's ass. But there's a scene. The plane. They get the engine started. Right. They get the engine started. The plane is dead. The plane is stuck in a swamp, and the creature just stands in front of this big giant, Boeing 747 engine that is running, and he stands there. So, they're all taking jumps at him, and then finally one person says, well, okay. And he's just standing there, wait, okay, this is my scene where I die. So, I mean, as the viewer of this film, is just nodding my head, going, oh my God. Finally, somebody kicks him in. One guy sacrifices himself, says, well, I love you, Petunia, but I've got to do what I got to do. And he runs, he jumps, and they both go flying through this thing, like a guacamole machine.
Oh, yeah.
And it's kind of comical. A movie's over. Goodbye. Don't even bother with it.
Okay.
Our next film is Hellraiser Judgment, the latest release in the Pinhead quadrilogy. This is a film completely and totally worthless. However, within the Pinhead universe, the Hellraiser bizarre Clive Barker world that has been created, there are some great little gruesome moments, and that's about it. So if you're sitting home, and you're alone, and you're tired, and you want to see something that you haven't seen before, then don't watch this.
Let's move right on to our next film, which
I'm going to do a flashback.
Okay.
It's a 90s flashback from
You mean a flashback?
Flashback.
We didn't set up our little organ tonight.
We forgot.
We did forget.
I'm doing a little flashback to 1991's Ricochet. I was in a Denzel mood. So this film stars Denzel Washington and also John Lithgow.
Yes, indeed.
So this is, again, it's one of those kind of cat and mouse films between a law enforcement official and some kind of a criminal. In this film, John Lithgow plays a career criminal, a hitman, who gets captured basically by a very young cop.
Look, it's a Zippo lighter. Have you seen this?
No, that's cool.
Look. Flick it up.
Oh!
Now, flicks up, Zippo lighter, and it's coming off a little bright here.
Yes.
But then you go like this.
And it lights.
And it lights. But watch
this.
this.
Does it serve any purpose? Oh, nice.
You can light your cigarette on it.
Very cool.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
I know.
He
Pretty
loves
cool.
his apps.
Yeah, it's a Zippo app for
cool.
a Zippo lighter.
Nice.
And it looks very authentic.
Anyway.
Terribly sorry.
So, in Ricochet, it's an action film.
Ricochet.
It's a drama. Denzel's a young cop who apprehends John Lithgow's character, who's a killer, murderer, thief, all that stuff.
A serial
Goes
killer.
to jail.
Isn't he a serial killer?
They say he's a hitman early on.
Oh, okay.
He's I think he's actually stealing from the mob when we first meet him.
Oh.
But anyway, so he goes to prison and he becomes obsessed with getting revenge on Denzel while he's in prison. And so when he gets out, he has this, tunnel vision of going after Denzel, who is now the assistant district attorney. He's moved on to the other side of law enforcement.
Okay.
And it's all about how now his life is going to get affected by Lithgow, who's doing all these very clever and Machiavellian trickery, all this kind of stuff to get Denzel, get revenge, but in a very sadistic, methodical fashion.
Yeah. And nobody plays a bad guy better than John Lithgow.
He's great. Yeah, I love him.
Check out Blowout with
Blowout.
the Brian De Palma film
He's
with
great.
Nancy Allen.
Cliffhanger, he's great.
Yeah, he really is.
Raising
terrific.
Cain, he's really bizarre.
He really is good.
He's a great actor.
He's wonderful.
I love Lithgow. He's great in Dexter season 4. Oh my God.
He's also in The
Wow.
Crown. He won an
won- yeah,
Emmy for playing Winston Churchill.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, and he and Gary Oldman actually talked to each other.
Oh, great.
And conferred about how to play the role.
That's great.
Yeah, very interesting.
That was fun.
Gary will win the Oscar
He
this
will, of course.
March 4th.
We know that, yes.
March 4th, the Oscars with host Jimmy Kimmel.
Jimmy Kimmel. So, I enjoyed Ricochet. I thought
Okay.
it was a little silly at times. I thought that,
I remember
the
thinking
ending was a bit far-fetched, and I thought that, I don't know, I just didn't buy that Lithgow's character would be able to get away with all the things he did. However, it's an entertaining film that was well acted. You can watch it now on HBO. It's on one of their. You can watch it on HBO now on their streaming platform. It's
there might be
available.
better films to watch, but it's still an
No,
interesting.
but it's it's a fun.
Pre-career building.
Yeah, no, that's why it's prominent.
John Lithgow, Denzel
And
Washington.
Denzel was very young in
Absolutely.
this film. It was a 3-star film at best.
Yeah, true.
Maybe even
this
2.5.
is way pre-Training Day.
Well, yeah, this was 1991.
Yeah, really.
This is when he was in his,
talking-
Mo Better Blues.
Yeah.
Right, he was right around the time he did Malcolm X, early '90s. He had some pretty big landmark roles at that period. And then in the mid '90s, he got into like Devil in the Blue Dress. He got into Virtuosity. Then eventually, obviously, Training Day in 2001 and Philadelphia '93. I mean, he really started to come into his own. But he was already an Oscar winner. He had won the Oscar for Glory in '88.
Okay.
87, 88. But anyway, Ricochet, it's a fun movie. Not great, but entertaining.
There you go.
Lithgow probably was the standout in this film. He was
Gotcha.
great. There's a fun scene where he's having a battle with another prisoner in the jail. And they're all...
Lithgow is?
Yeah, and they have phone books duct taped to their bodies, almost like suits of armor.
Oh.
And they're fighting with like pipes. And
Oh, that's interesting.
it was kind of a fun scene.
Okay.
Ridiculous, but fun.
Yeah, okay.
But anyway,
Well.
I'm going to give you permission to do your next review.
Okay, I think my next film, I think we have a little bit of time here. We're really got about another 8 minutes or so.
We have 6 minutes.
About 6 minutes or so.
Yeah.
So I may do two films very briefly here, just to touch on them, just to get them out of there. The first film I'm going to do very quickly is a movie called The Clapper. You can stay away from this film. It should go right in The Crapper.
I don't even know why you're even mentioning
The
it.
Crapper. No, I want to mention it because it's now kind of making the rounds
Yes.
in the pay-per-view era.
Yeah.
It starred Ed Helms. I
Yes.
like Ed. He was
I
in
do
the,
too.
he was in the Hangover movies.
He's great.
And he is terrific. He's really turned into. He plays a really terrific little character here. He's
Yes.
very droll, and he plays with Tracy Chapman. No, not Tracy Chapman.
Tracy Morgan.
And I think this might have been pre-Tracy's accident. But then again, no, it can't be. It can't be.
No, that was
Alan
several
Thicke
years.
is still alive in this film, and
Okay.
Alan Thicke died almost 2 years ago now.
So this film was
this
in the
film was
can.
probably in the can for about 2 years,
Yeah.
probably made in 2015. But it's about those people that sit in audiences that we take for granted when we watch those infomercial shows. People who sit in an audience, and as they're going, and some guy has his Bass-O-Matic, and he's making bass Slurpees
Yeah.
and bass milkshakes, etc.
I know what you're saying.
Right, and they're the guys that go, yeah, but can my wife use it too? Is it easy enough for her? Is it good enough on my pie? You mean 3 payments of only $29.99?
Some of these people make a
Some
career
of these
of this.
people, and they get paid like $100 a day just
Yeah.
to be on camera, to say one line. They make about $100 to $200, and they become kind of standard faces within the business. Another infomercial company might say, okay, we like that guy, bring him over with his friend Tracy
Yeah.
Morgan, etc. Anyway, he meets a girl at the local gas station. I'm giving more than I need to in this. But he falls in love with her, played by Amanda Seyfried, who was practically brain damaged in this
Yes.
film. But I kind of like certain aspects of this movie just because it is a character study, and he has this great moral fiber behind him that makes him not want to go when this major talk show says, we want him on our show because he's looking for his girlfriend, and it's so silly and nonsense. In The Crapper, The Clapper, I'm going to move right on to my final and our final film of the night, which is called Permission. This is a special little film made in 2017. It stars the lovely Rebecca Hall. I'm very, very fond of Rebecca Hall.
She's excellent.
We just saw her recently in The Dinner. She was also recently in
she was
Dr.
in Professor Marston and the
Professor
Wonder
Marston
Women.
and the Wonder Women.
Yeah.
She plays his wife. She always plays a creature of a sexual nature. There's almost no doubt about her. She just has a very sensuality
Yeah.
about her that I truly love. She has a
There's also an
beautiful-
elegance.
There is
there.
an elegance
Yeah.
to her. She's an eloquent woman.
Yes.
And her those beautiful eyes and
Yeah.
just the way she speaks. She's so intelligent. She just gets she's an actress of a very special nature.
Yeah.
Reese Witherspoon will never get the acting jobs that Rebecca Hall gets. She just doesn't have the intelligence to pull it off.
Yeah.
And no offense to Reese, It's just that Rebecca is really a notch above
Yeah.
when it comes to that kind of very proper British
I know what you're saying.
lady-like behavior that she emulates so brilliantly, I have to say. This movie is about, she's a very happy couple with her boyfriend, husband-to-be, played by Dan Stevens
Yes.
from Beauty and the Beast, but you never saw his face in Beauty and the
Yeah,
Beast.
but he's in everything
he's,
these days.
He's in a lot of films. He's a very striking young man. He's a good actor. I'm going to say he's not always great. Maybe his roles just haven't been great enough. But he's very, very. I don't think. Maybe there's an Oscar in his future. I don't know. But this film,
very capable.
He's a
I
very
like him.
capable guy. I like him too. He's a very. Anyway, they're a couple, and they decide that they've only been with each other their whole life.
Yes.
They've never gone outside that sexual chemistry
Relationship,
that they enjoy together. So he gives her permission. He gives her a Rebecca Hall pass, if you will, to go on and go to a bar, pick up a guy, and therefore she gives him the same thing. And he goes and meets Gina Gershon, the beautiful young Gina from Showgirls and many other she always kind of in a very sexual,
very often
actress type roles that she also commands. And but this was an interesting film. The ending was quite amazing, and although I foresaw it coming, I still enjoyed it to a major extent. I mean, they also have friends that are gay, and you're playing with fire now.
Oh yeah.
Okay, you wanna have permission to go have sex with somebody else, but there's always the chance. And they're thinking, well, no, I'm not going to fall in love with anybody. And but of course,
there's always a risk.
There's always a risk. There's always a risk, and so the film is poignant and quite. I enjoyed this film. It was just a little slice of life that we don't see too often, and it kind of strikes of that movie with Demi Moore and Robert Redford,
Indecent Proposal,
back in 1935. When Demi was acting.
I think that was 90.
No, it was 92, 3, 4, 5, whatever. When Demi was in her highlight of striptease.
Woody Harrelson again.
Yeah, once again. There you go. But I have to give it all up to Rebecca Hall once again. She steals the show as always. She's really wonderful.
You can watch this on Amazon, by the way.
It is on Amazon. Dan Stevens is in the film also. So
cool.
All right, I suppose.
All right, guys, we're done for tonight.
We may be done. We're only doing a very brief show this
45
evening.
minutes ain't bad. We covered a lot in 45 minutes.
Yeah, and that way Chris doesn't have to produce a whole hour show or hour and 10 minutes.
But
show.
I think it's more concise.
Because he's got time. He needs time. So
I need time.
We are giving him a little bit
honestly,
of time.
I don't think anybody suffered. This was great. It worked well.
I don't think so,
it was
too. Yeah, I
really
think it
good.
was wonderful.
We kept us on point.
We did a very fantastic opening to the show. So I hope you can all go to YouTube and check it out because it's quite hilarious.
Don't tell anybody anything.
We have our superstar here.
Don't tell anybody
quite
anything.
the wardrobe.
Don't tell anybody.
So I think it might be to your advantage to go check that out.
So we'll see you guys soon. Stay tuned for the
soon.
announcements.
Yes, exactly.
Again,
now, I will say this.
Yes.
I may be back as a solo project. I may just come back here on my own and just talk to the humanoids and just do a solo bit.
You're welcome to have a spin-off.
I realize that, but I am concerned. Listen, you need to do what you need to do in your life right now. He's a married man. He has obligations. He has responsibilities. So I may just have to keep myself alive. Keep yourself
You're welcome too, my friend.
I may just do that. So if that is the case, I shall.
But nobody's saying the show is ending. We're just, I said, we're going to be instituting some potential nice upgrades and changes in the coming month or so.
I hope.
Announcements to come.
We shall see.
We have some meetings coming.
However, I'm not quite sure if that show that we're going to be doing is at all going to make it out to you guys.
No, they'll have to.
They're not going to be able to see that. You 72 folks out there are not.
We'll have to tell them where to find us.
Yeah, you're going to have to go to. You're going to have to go to YouTube and just check out Film Banter. You'll always.
Well, they can always go on the other thing if that works
be able
out.
to see us there.
Details to come. We're talking in Vegas. You'll find out.
I wonder if they have sound tonight because there's like fewer of them than there's ever been.
No, we're fine.
We're in bad shape with our
we had
viewership.
like 39 recently. That's in the live stream.
No, we've never had.
Anyway,
that.
we're rambling.
Okay,
there's no need for it.
Goodbye, everyone.
We love you.
Pleasure and honor.
We'll see you soon for episode 71.
And try and hold on till the November elections, and we can overturn this
please.
stuff. All right, folks.
I'm holding my breath.
Yes. And goodbye and good night.
We'll see you soon.
That's it, folks.